join us in our gathering song, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. The words will appear on your screen in a moment. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our stories from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, we feel the power of each other's faith, and our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place.
Good morning and welcome to the online service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. We're so glad that each of you are able to join us this morning. And together in community, we can ensure that social distancing does not mean social disengagement. Our weekly services are more than just a gathering of our physical bodies. It is the forming of a sacred time that we make together. Whether you are well-versed in the technology of teleconferencing or this is your first venture, we welcome you. For those of you new among us or reconnecting with fonder hearts, we invite you to introduce yourselves and say where you are connecting from, using the chat box as you are comfortable. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, whatever your theological stance, whatever your heritage, whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. You can learn more about us on our Facebook page and website. We encourage you to share our Facebook page and reach out to others who may be isolated at this time and might benefit from the spiritual connection within our loving community. We have several announcements today. The Social Action Council will hold a brief but urgent meeting today at 7 p.m. We have some immediate opportunities for our congregation to help Connecticut build back better after the pandemic. Please contact Margaret Henderson to be included. We'd like to reach out to the broader congregation at this time, so please consider coming even if you're not a member of the Social Action Committee. On Monday, April 12th at 7 p.m., the Racial Justice Team will discuss this year's UUA Common Read, Breathe, by Imani Perry. Please email Marian DeFabio for the Zoom link. And on Thursday evening, the Book Conversations group will be discussing Entangled Lives, which sounds like the name of a soap opera, but is really about fungi. After our service, we invite you to stay and participate in a breakout group for individual connection and deeper check-ins. Again, welcome to the UU Congregation of Danbury, where we welcome all in a spirit of compassion, inquiry, and service. Today, our service will be led by M. Kianka. M graduated with her Master of Divinity from Star King School for the Ministry in 2018 and is a candidate for ministry. She currently works at the Organization for Common Justice, where she supports survivors of community violence through their healing and the restorative justice process. Welcome, Em, and take it away.
Our opening words this morning are from UU Minister, the Reverend Margaret Weiss. Come into this place with your whole self, the parts that are raw and exposed, the part that is beaming with joy, the part that is seeking the truth, the new, the possibility. Lift up your hope for something new to happen. Come into this place, open your heart, lay down your burden. Come into this place with fellow travelers on the journey, some faces new and others familiar, and all welcoming you here, now to this moment. Come, let us worship together. Now let's join Rick Cousins with our chalice lighting affirmation.
Before I do the chalice lighting, what I'd like to do is I'd like to speak very, very briefly about the Sunday on behalf of the Sunday Services Committee. As a group, we have a couple of new challenges to better service our congregational needs, to find a new strategy to manage hybrid services, as well as to attempt and create more diversity in our weekly time together, both in service format and service content. If you are interested in helping a church group with a huge impact and a small time commitment, please reach out to myself or Michael Stengel for more information. If you will, please join me in our chalice lighting affirmation. Repeat with me. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another and celebrate life.
Good morning. It is good to be together. If there are any children and youth who are in the room but not near the screen, now would be a good time to come near the screen. Today's story has pictures. While you're on your way over, I want to make sure you know that the adults in your home received an email this morning with a video project for this week. I hope a number of you will make a video to contribute to the video project today or anytime this week. I just need your video submissions by next Sunday, April 18th. High school seniors also received an email today to which I need responses at your earliest convenience. We're getting ready for Bridging Sunday. And finally, you are invited, children and youth and any adults who want to join us. This is an intergenerational event next Sunday at 11:30 a.m. We will gather outside the congregation to make birdhouses together. Come make birdhouses with myself and Margaret and Keith Henderson. No experience needed. Just let me know if you plan to be there so we can make sure we have materials available for you. And those are all the announcements about religious education that I have for you this morning. Let's say together our children's affirmation, the words for which are printed in the order of service. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other.
Our time for all ages today is a story called The Little Island by Margaret Wise Brown and Leonard Weisgard. There was a little island in the ocean. Around it the winds blew, and the birds flew, and the tides rose and fell on the shore. Clouds passed over it, Fish swam around it, and the fog came in from the sea and hid the little island in a soft, wet shadow. The morning was very quiet on the island, with only the spiders sailing their webs against a gentle wind. Small flowers, white and blue, and violets with golden eyes, and little waxy white pink chuckleberry blossoms, and one tickly smelling pear tree bloomed on the island, and that was the spring. Then one day, all the lobsters crawled in from the sea and hid under the rocks and ledges of the island to shed their shells and let their new ones grow hard and strong in hiding places in the dark. And the seals came barking down from the north to lie on the sunny rocks and raise their baby seals. And the kingfishers came from the south to build nests. And the gulls laid their eggs on the rocky ledges. And wild strawberries turned red. Summer had come to the little island. Boats sailed to the little island from far away, and herring and mackerel leaped out of the water, all silver in the moonlight. The seaweed squeaked at low tide, and little green pears grew on the pear tree. A black crow flew over. And a little kitten came to the island with some people on a picnic. The kitten prowled around the island and saw that it was all surrounded by water. "What a little island," said the kitten. "This little island is as little as big is big." "So are you," said the island. "Maybe I am a little island too," said the kitten. "A little fur island in the air." And he left the ground and jumped in the air. "That is just what you are," said the island. "But I am a part of this big world," said the kitten. "My feet are on it." "So am I," said the little island. "No, you're not," said the kitten. "Water is all around you, and it cuts you off from the land." "Ask any fish," said the island. So the kitten caught a fish. "Answer me this, or I'll eat you up," said the kitten. "How is an island a part of the land?" "Come with me," said the fish, "down into the dark, secret places of the sea, and I will show you." "I can't swim," said the cat. "Show me another way, or I'll eat you up." "Then you must take it on faith, what I tell you," said the fish. "What's that?" said the cat. "Faith." "To believe what I tell you about what you don't know," said the fish. And the fish told the kitten how all land is one land under the sea. The cat's eyes were shining with the secret of it. And because he loved secrets, he believed, and he let the fish go. Night came to the little island, dark and still, and 7 little fireflies flashed in the darkness. A bat flew around and around the pear tree and woke up the owl. The wind whistled. Then came the storm. The wind blew from the southeast. Waves as big as glassy mountains came before it, and thunder and lightning, and always the howling, moaning, whistling wind. And then the storm passed and left the little island where it found it in the summer sea. Autumn came and the yellow pears dropped slowly to the ground. Winter came and the snow fell softly like a great quiet secret in the night, cold and still. Nights and days came and passed, and summer and winter, and the sun and the wind and the rain.
You could probably go back to the map.
I don't care, just turn that.
And it was good to be a little island, a part of the world and a world of its own, all surrounded by the bright blue sea. The end.
Let's join together in the spirit of compassionate attention as we enter into a time of community sharing. We'll use the chat window of Zoom for the sharing of our sorrows and joys, those personal milestones which we wish to carry together in community. You may also wish to recognize the sharing of joys and sorrows by silently dropping a stone in a bowl or lighting a candle. Let us now share with one another.
My name is Diane Harrington Purvis, and my husband Brad and I are members of UUCD. Many of you probably don't know us yet. We first visited here in February 2019 and officially joined that fall. While we are new to this church, however, we are not new to Unitarian Universalism. We were married 40 years ago in Michigan by my dad's UU minister, and we joined the UU Church in White Plains, New York, where we lived a few years later. And in 2010, when we retired and moved to Martha's Vineyard, we joined the UU Church there. So, when we decided to move to Connecticut in 2019, we knew we needed a new church home. We did some research and talked to some Vineyard UU friends who had lived in this area, and we decided to try out UUCD. What we thought we saw here was a church where we would be needed. A smallish church with a part-time minister always needs support. It might sound presumptuous to think we would be needed, but think about it for a minute. Being needed means opportunities to participate. And boy, have I found opportunities to participate. I have been singing in the choir. I joined one of the Saturday teams that provide meals at Dorothy Day's Soup Kitchen. We hosted an auction dinner last January, just before the pandemic struck. I regularly make sandwiches for the Soup Kitchen. I wrote many, many, many postcards in the months before the election. And a spin-off has been participation in a book club composed of women from the church. These have all been ways that I've begun to get to know some of you. Believe me, it isn't easy to pick up and move to a completely new place, not having friends or a hairdresser or a doctor. But with a new church home, I have felt myself becoming part of a community. Community. That's the point. And that's what I am so very grateful for. Thank you. And I hope to get to know more of you when we can all be together again in person.
It is now time for our congregational offering. If you're with us for the first time, feel free to pass the virtual plate. Your presence here is your gift to us. Members, please express your generosity by clicking the link that is posted in the chat to make a donation or pledge. Even though we're not in our sacred space on the ridge, we are creating a holy place together, and our operating expenses remain the same. You may also mail a check to UUCD at 24 Clapboard Ridge Road in Danbury. Thank you for doing your part to sustain this community that we love. Please join me in our congregational response. In the spirit of compassion and service, we dedicate these, our offerings.
Our reading this morning is a poem entitled In Perpetual Spring by Amy Gersler. In perpetual spring. Gardens are also good places to sulk. You pass beds of spiky voodoo lilies and trip over the roots of a sweet gum tree in search of medieval plants whose leaves, when they drop off, turn into birds if they fall on land, and colored carp if they plop into water. Suddenly, the archetypal human desire for peace with every other species wells up in you. The lion and the lamb cuddling up, the snake and the snail kissing, even the prick of the thistle, queen of the weeds, revives your secret belief in perpetual spring, your faith that for every hurt there is a leaf to cure it. Gardens are also good places to sulk. Maybe it's just me, but the opening line of our reading today feels a little on the nose for these times we have been living through. If you can access a garden or a park or a backyard, they have been, in the last year, one of the few places we've had to responsibly sulk. And I don't know about you, but I've done my fair share of sulking over the last year and change, mainly in the public parks and gardens I live near in Manhattan. Although we have some reason to feel significantly more hopeful than we did this time last year, we have been all processing an ongoing crisis while largely expected to go about our daily lives, whatever that means for each of us. Between pandemic exhaustion, personal and collective grief this year, and the ebbs and flows of routine daily life, many of us may find ourselves running on empty. Even if you are fortunate in every single possible way, my fair guess is that you have sulked too. Many of us perhaps have spent the last year feeling similar to what the Kidden says about the island in our Time for All Ages today. Maybe our home feels as little as big is big, and we feel like a little island cut off from the big world. Everyone is different, but we as human beings are not generally wired to be islands. For many of us, connection with other living beings and with the earth is a need, not an option, and a major way to experience joy and beauty, like singing together, celebrating one another, grieving with each other, exploring the world together. We are largely social, tactile beings, part of a beautiful and complicated interdependent web of life. We are not meant to be islands. So during these uncertain and challenging times where we may oscillate in and out of feeling like islands on this big earth, what does it mean to feel connected to joy and beauty and to our larger world? And how do joy and beauty sustain ourselves, strengthen ourselves and our bigger communities? Joy and beauty are available to us in many forms, and one large source is the outside world. This year, I read the book Braiding Sweetgrass by Indigenous botanist Robin Wall Kimmerer. To be honest, I don't often read a lot of nonfiction. I try to use the time I have to read to fall into carefully constructed fictitious worlds, a personal source of joy and beauty for me. But I was gifted Braiding Sweetgrass by a good friend, and I heard the book described by another as a giant hug. In Braiding Sweetgrass, Kimmerer combines her indigenous wisdom of plants and nature with her training as a botanist and a professor of environmental biology to tell stories about the natural world, to tell her own story as an indigenous scientist, and to tell a larger story about the earth, its abundance and interconnectedness, in the hope that we can, as a larger culture, live into right relationship with the earth and with each other. One of her most poignant teachings is that beauty in nature is not only aesthetically pleasing, but also highly functional. In evolutionary terms, also advantageous, also the embodiment of resilience. This extends to human experience as well, because we are part of the natural world. Our experiences of joy and beauty, including art, music, dancing, gathering together, making each other laugh, spending time with pets and children, not only brings us passing happiness, but also builds long-term individual and collective resilience. One of my favorite stories that Kimmerer tells about this kind of resilience is about taking her ethnobotany students on a 5-week field study trip up in the Adirondacks. It's a graduation requirement for the students, and although many of them arrive with excitement, many also remain skeptical of the length of the trip and its remoteness, with no cell service and no contact with the mainland. While they're there, one of their tasks is to harvest roots. Kimmerer writes, "The forest floor here is all spruce needles, rusty brown, deep and soft, with the occasional pale drift of maple or black cherry leaves. Ferns, mosses, and trailing partridge berry glow in the few sun flecks that penetrate the dense canopy. We're here to harvest watap, the roots of white spruce, Picea glauco, a cultural keystone for indigenous peoples throughout the Great Lakes, strong enough to stitch together birch bark canoe and wigwams, flexible enough for beautiful baskets. I want them to learn how to read the forest floor, to develop the X-ray vision that helps you see roots beneath the surface. But it's hard to break down intuition into a formula. In gathering roots, just plunging in will get you nothing but a hole. We have to unlearn hurrying. This is all about slowness. We have to unlearn hurrying, both a prerequisite and a gift of joy and beauty." Kimmerer describes the long and onerous process of searching for and digging up these roots. It's impossible to just dig up one. Once you find a root in the ground, in order to dig it up completely, you end up excavating the other roots that cross its path under the moss. So in order to finally expose one single long root line, you must follow it without breaking it yourself or without discovering that it's been broken already. She writes of her students' many grunts of frustration. It was really hard work. It took hours, it was new for them, and yet searching for roots brought them connection to the land and to each other. Kimmerer says, "Before long, all the chatter ceases and a mossy hush befalls us. There is just the shh of wind in the spruce and a calling winter wren. Time goes by, way longer than the 50-minute classes they're used to. Still, no one speaks. I'm waiting for it, hoping. There's a certain energy in the air, a hum. And then I hear it, someone singing, low and contented. I feel the smile spread across my face and breathe a sigh of relief. It happens every time." Kimmerer continues, "In the Apache language, the root word for land is the same as the word for mind. Gathering roots holds up a mirror between the map in the earth and the map of our minds. This is what happens, I think, in the silence and the singing and with hands in the earth. At a certain angle of that mirror, the roots converge and we find our way back home." A mirror between the map in the earth and the map of our minds. I don't think we have to be literally, physically digging up spruce roots to trace our own roots within ourselves. Our roots in the world around us, our roots in our families and our friends and our loved ones and our practices and our communities and our larger earth. These abundant roots that cross and converge and twist their ways around each other, mutually reinforcing our sources of sustenance, of joy and beauty inside and outside of us. Those sources of joy and beauty bring us home every time. Later on in her story, Kimmerer describes the last night of their whole trip together. She writes, "When the students start to leave the fire circle with their flashlights and 2s and 3s to whisper, I sense a conspiracy. Before I know it, they are lined up with makeshift song sheets like a choir in the firelight. We have a little something for you," they said, and start a marvelous anthem of their own creation, filled with rhymes of spruce roots and hiking boots, human needs and marshy reeds, cat-tailed torches on our porches. The song crescendos to a rousing chorus of "No matter where I roam, when I'm with plants, I'll be home." I couldn't imagine a more perfect gift. Their singing perfectly weaves a story of their experience of the immense gifts of the natural world and the immense gift of the joy, beauty, and resilience it brought them all. Even though many had originally been skeptical, even though it had just been a requirement for school, even through the challenges and tribulations of the 2 weeks, they became a community united by their connections with the land and with each other. I think then that Robin Wall Kimmerer would agree that what makes gardens, or the outside world at large, such a good place to sulk is that they are the ultimate balm for loneliness. I walk 2 blocks to the park near my apartment, and I trip over the roots of a tree, like Amy Gersler says in our reading, or pass by flower beds and flocks of seagulls going on with their sweet lives, and newly blooming cascading trees. Even if it is not safe or accessible for us to be in public, we can find our way to the herbs we planted in our backyard or open up our window. Amy Gersler says that even the prick of the thistle, queen of the weeds, revives your secret belief in perpetual spring, your faith that for every hurt there is a leaf to cure it. It revives our faith in our deep root map, in this web of life that brings us joy and beauty, and that we have a responsibility to be accountable to in return. Or maybe this is not your experience. Perhaps for some of us, watching spring unfold in the world around us feels strange, a juxtaposition to our ongoing crisis, or a juxtaposition to how we feel if we're grieving. Maybe right now, joy and beauty feel, oh, so far away. The world is blooming around us, but at the same time, we are in the dark. So many things are uncertain still, and there is no way to flip on a light switch to know what will happen, what change will take place, what the future exactly holds. Celebrating the beauty of our lives while we are living in the darkness can be very challenging. And to be clear, I do not say darkness here to mean bad or hard times, although we have certainly been living through a hard time. To be living in the dark, rather, means to be living in a time of extraordinary uncertainty, where nothing is clear. When we are living in the dark, we crave knowing when certainty will return. But even when we have glimmers of that, we still don't fully know, and we can't know. The fish in the little island knows this. She offers to the kitten that the only way to know that the island is part of the land is to come down into the darkness. But the kitten, like us, can't go there. Since he can't swim, it is impossible for him to know what is beyond his reach. Just like Kimmerer's students couldn't see the map of roots below the surface, the dark ocean eclipses the kitten's ability to see and to know. So then, the fish says, the kitten must take it on faith, or believe what she tells him about what he cannot know. And when the fish describes the truth, that all land is one land under the sea, that we are all part of one interdependent web of life, the kitten's eyes shine with the beautiful secret of it. A secret only because it was hidden from his knowing, from his certainty. The kitten could only understand the truth once the fish showed him how the darkness, as theologian Howard Thurman says, can actually be luminous. Luminous because it is illuminated by faith and by possibility. The possibility for new wisdom that could bring forth a world that is more deeply interconnected, joyful, and just than ever before. We don't know how yet, but we can, like the kitten, have faith that it is possible. And we can hold that faith, even when it feels like it is buried deep in the secret depths of the ocean. We can hold that faith, even when we oscillate in and out of loneliness during these times. Even when we feel like little islands, we are connected to the beauty of this big, big world. So, how is an island a part of the land? Let us show each other it's okay if you can't swim. It's okay if the roots are hard to find under the surface. It's okay if the blooming world sometimes makes you feel more in the dark. No matter what, we can sing to each other the great, beautiful secret, our own anthem of wild rhymes that we are holding in the depths of our communal being. Whether it's of perpetual spring or the truth of our connectedness hidden away from us under the dark soil. We can remind each other when we need it the very most that while everything keeps on changing, joy and beauty are perpetually, always abundantly singing their own songs. We just need to listen for their adapting melodies, for they will always adapt. That's the gift of their resilience, of our resilience. May you sing the secret as loudly as you need. May you shine with the truth of it. And may you remember the truth of our world, that we are not islands, that we need each other, and that together we have and are strengthened by joy and beauty, no matter how uncertain it may get. May it be so. Amen. As we enter into this period of meditative silence, I invite you to shift your body in your seat. Perhaps find your feet on the floor, if that makes sense for you, and either close your eyes or soften your gaze, whichever is more comfortable for you today. Bring your attention to your breath. Breathe in and out. Call to mind something that's brought you joy recently. Hold your attention there. What does it feel like to experience this joy? What's happening in your body? Do you feel openness or constriction? Notice what's happening in your mind, where your thoughts travel. As you continue to hold this joy close, what about your heart? What emotions do you experience? If it feels challenging to be in touch with joy today, that's okay too. Notice with compassion any judgments that may arise as you return again and again to this time of deep listening during the next minute or so. Your eyes, if they were closed, to shift your attention back to your space. May we carry into the rest of our time together the stillness we shared, our meditation on joy. Now, please join us in singing Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Move in the heart, giving light the shape of justice. Roots hold me close. Winds of free spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
It is time for extinguishing our chalices, indicating the approaching end of our service. So if you would please join me in the reading that you'll find in the order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.
Please join me in singing hymn 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song, otherwise known as How Can I Keep From Singing? My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far-off hymn that hails a new creation. Above the tumult and the strife, I hear its music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness wrap me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is prevails for heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, my thoughts to them are winging. When friends find shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
May you remember that you are enough, that you are not alone, and that in the heart of this wild, wondrous, challenging, and beautiful world is the eternal truth that we need each other. Go and be blessed and be a blessing. May it be so.